90.3, 91.7 FM, KEXP worldwide, online at KEXP.org. I'm Kevin Cole. This is the afternoon show. I'm in the performance space. Excited to be here with Tom Veck. Greetings. How are you today?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Appreciate you taking time out of the day and playing for us.
No, it's my pleasure. Our hotel's actually around the corner, so it really wasn't too much.
Oh, cool. You got the one that's just like 100 feet down?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's starting to happen a lot these days. It's always a coincidence. We get a call. People say, how do you get there? And I'm like, well, where are you? Okay, just go out of the door and walk 10 feet. You've got a great new full-length debut release. We Have Sound, and we'll be talking a bit about that. But do you mind introducing who you have with you today, and then we could play a track?
Yeah. We've got young Toby McFarlane on the keyboard sampler, Richard Harrison on the bass, and all the way from Caracas, Venezuela, Eric on the bass.
Greetings.
The first song we're going to play is called The Lure of the Sun. 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like it's over being summer. Looks like it's all going to rust. Looks like you know who your friends are. Looks like you know who to trust. Looks like I'm opening doors now. Looks like they're closing behind. With a pocket full of Polaroids, I'll take your picture again. The lower the sun, the taller the shadows become. The lower the sun, the taller the shadows become. Looks like we'll talk to our friends now. Looks like it's come to an end. Looks like I'm taking you with me. We went too fast through the bend. Looks like I'm covering windows. Looks like the moon is our friend. I sit here waiting for nighttime. On the seasons it depends. The lower the sun, the taller the shadows become. The lower the sun, the taller the shadows become.
Sounds great. Tom Veck live on KEXP, a track from the debut release, We Have Sound, a song called The Lower the Sun. So, Tom, You basically, from my understanding, recorded the album on your own. Did you play all the instruments on it?
I did, yeah. I played all the instruments. I mean, I have to profess that I didn't. The recording was kind of shared with the album was produced by a great man called Tom Rixton. But I mean, it was constructed from a lot of recordings that I had done, and I think that I had got to the place I was at anyway, due to the fact that I've been recording for years and years anyway.
That's
so
right.
I mean, my kind of home recording style is definitely where the kind of the soul of the record is. We kind of worked in a couple of other studios, piecing together bits and bobs that I'd done.
So when you say constructed, you had recorded most of the pieces, brought it together, collaborated somewhat with who you co-produced it with?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's kind of it was each song was a different story really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's the song like the song we just played, "Lower the Sun," kind of is an example of a song that was in its kind of highest state of infancy before working on. That song was just that kind of fuzzy bass line was how that started, and I elaborated on it with Tom Rixton. But a song like Nothing But Green Lights, which we're going to play next, was actually musically completely there, and we just put vocals on it. So it kind of, we kind of did what we did to each song, what it kind of needed,
Well, tell me a little bit about that. As someone who writes music on your own and as a multi-instrumentalist, where is the point of inspiration, and is it different in each song? Sounds like it is. I mean, because you're saying the Lower the Sun started out with this fuzzy bass line. That's probably sort of an atypical way for a song to
yeah, I don't know
form.
really. I think it's from years of just kind of mucking around really, and I don't tend to kind of sit down and think I'm right and kind of write this whole song and write it, then record it. It's like a song will kind of be born out of one interesting little thing that makes me think, right, this needs some friends around it to pad it out, and if that's a lot of the time it's just a drum beat or a bass line or even some of the tracks that I worked with Tom, the thing that he brought to the table was working a bit with the computer, so he could brought a couple of songs started from a kind of sample-based start, and then had real instruments put around it.
That's an interesting point, because I think the assumption most people would make, and one that I guess I had here, was that you probably work on a computer and generate a lot of the ideas from a computer. Is that not the case?
No, I mean, I've never personally used a computer. I mean, it wasn't really. It wasn't kind of like a choice thing. It's weird to describe it. I ended up doing, most of my recordings are on a 16-track reel-to-reel machine, which is quite kind of glamorous for an audiophile. People are like, oh yeah, it's it hasn't tape got a lovely sound, and I was like, well, it's that wasn't the reason I used it. It was just what we had.
Yeah, for you it was more necessity than
exactly. Yeah, so that was what was nice. I think it was quite. When I started working with Tom, I was slightly apprehensive because I'd been recording and producing all my own stuff for a long, long time. But it was interesting to kind of realise that he did bring some things. It's nice, anything that I can't do, I'm happy to let someone else,
right?
Kind of like help out in that kind of technology sense.
Cool. Well, that sort of raises the question of, you record the album primarily on your own, and most of the creative process is on your own, and you've got some great musicians here with you. How do you translate, the recording then to a live band, and do the songs evolve in that transferring?
I think it's difficult. I'm kind of a real sucker for things being kind of captured, and that's how it is, and I think that it makes loads of sense to me to kind of honour the record as much as possible, even because of both ways. If the two types of playing live, it's like one of them is to promote a record, and the other one is to kind of reward fans that would come because they know the music already. And I think in both of those situations, it does need to resemble either what they're meant to like or they like. So it's been a process of just trying to find ways of getting the soul of each song through, because each song is different. So it's been an interesting process, and the songs have kind of developed at different stages.
That's one thing that's really striking about the record We Have Sound is that there is so many different influences, and each song can be different, yet there is a continuity throughout the record. Tell me a little bit about your approach in terms of different styles of music, because you can hear, like in that last song, there was a great funky groove. You can hear raw rock on some of this. You can hear like indie rock. You can hear electronica.
I don't know, really. It's difficult. There's not I don't sit down and kind of think I'm going to write a rock song today. It will be a rock riff that will get me excited about then taking that into somewhere else. And I find that the recording environment is very shut off for me. It is. I think the most things that I'm influenced by is actually kind of sort of what the instruments can do. I'm a big kind of mucker arounder and a rewirer of things, and well, not actually specifically circuit boards, but just putting things through other things and testing things out, and then it will tend to be an effect, kind of an unexpected effect that will make me think, oh, let's put this on, or this sounds like it needs a drum machine, or this sound, or or this will be live drums. It's like the decisions get made bit by bit, and tend to be greatly influenced by itself, kind of thing.
I read once where Brian Eno said that some of the best things that he had done had happened by accident.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I think a lot. That's kind of. I don't really see the difference between. There's a very blurred line between accidental stuff and writing, because when you write, it is experimentation, and it's just the modest people will call it accidents, and people that believe that it was their fate to come up with this song will say that they wrote it.
Right, part of the process, the experimental
exactly,
process.
Yeah.
This is Tom Beck live in the studio here at KEXP. Do you mind playing a couple more songs?
Yeah, of course.
Cool.
This next song is called Nothing But Green Lights. I can see your eyes from here, and I can't see anything in between. Everything I thought I ought to know about you has vanished like the snow when the sun comes out. There's nothing but green lights from here. Nothing but empty roads. You and I are gonna drive ourselves out of this town in a 1989 black Mercedes Benz. I can hear your voice from here, girl, and I can't hear no other time apart. That's it. I'm not being left out anymore. I've got a hold on what's going on. I've got my foot in the door, so to speak. There's nothing but green lights from here. There's nothing but green lights from here. From here. There's nothing but green lights from here. Woo! Ready, gang? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I said that we could fly around the world 2,000 times, oh, if I said that, baby, your smile had taken me by surprise, if I had changed my mind, would I be here? If I had changed my mind, would I be here? Grown to passing a guest. Your car has run out of gas. If I said you're working too hard, said would you be there in my mind? Come on! If I had changed my mind, would I be here? If I had changed my mind, would I be here? Oh, if I had changed my mind, would I be here? Here. Could I be here? Oh, come on! No. Would
Tom Beck live at KEXP. 2 songs off the debut release, We Have Sound, If I Had Changed My Mind, and Nothing But Green Lights. Sounding great. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.
Quick question. A lot of folks have this theory, or there's this theory that because artists have so much time to work on their first album, that perhaps that is better than the second album because there's less time to do the follow-up, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's that saying, isn't there? You have your whole life to do your first record.
Exactly, and I know this album is still really new. It just came out in the U.S. here a month ago, I think in April in the U.K. Have you even thought about your next record yet?
I have. It's kind of funny the way I record. You know, is when I write a song, it's like I write and record at the same time. So it's just all going to happen at once. You know, a couple of months are going to pass, and the next record's going to be there. I mean, so the album, it came out in April, as you said, in the UK, and it had taken about a year for that to happen since it was done, because it was originally made on a very small independent label in London with a scheduled release of October that year. And you know, there was it was very exciting, fortunate amount of events happening in the UK, and it ended up being licensed off. But so, you know, as a result, the music is quite old now, and it's been a great pleasure to to get it to all these people and everything that's happened this year. But for me as a writer, you know, my mind now is in. I'm kind of pining for that excitement of all this new stuff again. So at the end of this year, I'm gonna kind of go back and see what happens. Yeah. Again.
Is that frustrating to have have to wait around for things that kind of are out of your control once you, as an artist, create something? And what's the most challenging thing?
It's not. I mean, that kind of gets, far outweighed by the fact that someone's pressing up, thousands of versions of your music. It's, that's what really excites me. I kind of wait for it. It's funny because you think, oh, everything's so far away. It's taking so long, and then a week before it comes out, you're like, oh, I'm not ready. Let's get more prepared. So,
Very cool. Well, we look forward to a long career, more music from you.
Oh, thank you very much.
And I'll make sure to post on the website a link to your site, as well as any dates that you're going to be doing.
Thank you very much.
So thanks again. Tom Beck live here at KXP. Appreciate all you guys taking the time out of the day. Thank you. This is KXP Seattle.